Okay, I am back working on this paper again for day number 2, practice on quadratic applications. And yesterday I asked you to do number 3 for me, and I wanted to show you what your answer should be. So the first thing I found was the vertex because it wanted the maximum height and how long it took to reach there. And then it also wanted to know how long it takes to hit the ground. So that's when I looked for a y value of 0. This one, it wants to know how high the rocket is after 2 seconds. So I looked for an x value of 2 in the table, and that was the y that went with it. So just explaining domain and range. So domain are your x's, so time. So time is happening between 0 seconds and 8 seconds, and that's because it took 8 seconds for the rocket to hit the ground. And range is talking about y's, your height. And so the lowest height is 0, because that's when the object's on the ground, and the highest height is 256. And that's because that was the height of the vertex. So I'm hoping you did okay with it. So I'm going to just do another one for you. So let's move on to number 4. All right, a ball is thrown in the air. The path of the ball is represented by this equation. H of t equals negative t squared plus 8t, where h of t is the height in feet at time t seconds. All right, so once again, h of t is representing our height, which is where the y would typically be, and t is representing time, which is typically where the x would be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this equation into my calculator. All right, so I'm going to go zoom 6. So zoom and then 6. Puts it back on my standard window. Then I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to get rid of that equation and type in my new one. So negative x squared. So negative x squared. So remember, I need this little negative down here. And then x squared. Choop. And then after that, plus 8x. So plus 8x. Plus 8x. Okay, so there's my equation, negative x squared plus 8x. All right, so my first question says, how long did it take for the ball to reach its maximum height? Well, the maximum height is its vertex, right? So let's hit graph and see if we can see the vertex today. Nope, not quite. All right, I need to see higher. So let's go to our window, and to see higher, where do I go? Y max. All right, it doesn't look like I have to go too high because it looks like I could almost see it. I'm just going to make it a 30. Let's just try 30. You can make it whatever you want. I don't care what you make it. Let's see if I can see it. I can. All right, so I want to find that maximum height. So I'm going to go second calc, and I'm going to go to number 4 maximum. Hit enter. Left bound. Is my blinky cursor to the left of the vertex right now? It is. I'm just going to hit enter right here. Okay, now I'm going to right arrow, and I'm going to move Mr. Blinky cursor to the right of my vertex. That's to the right, so I'm going to hit enter. And guess I want to get Mr. Blinky cursor right where it looks like the vertex is. So enter. This looks like a 4, and this looks like a 16. So 4, 16. All right, so that's my number. 4, 16. That's my vertex anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to make sense of it. All right, so remember, the 4 is the x, but x is time. So when it says, how long did it take? It took 4 seconds. Y is my height. So when it says the maximum height would be 16 feet. Okay, the next one wants to know, how long does it take to hit the ground? So I know when something hits the ground, the height is 0. All right, so let's go to our table and look for a 0. in the y column. So second graph, and this is time 0, so I don't want that. Here it is. It's going to hit the ground at 8 seconds. And if I looked at the graph, that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, at 8 seconds, the height is 0. And you can see it from your table too. So at 8 seconds, the height is 0. All right, so the answer to this is 8 seconds. Okay, so reasonable domain. Domain, remember, is about x's, and x's are about time. So let's talk about what the time is doing. Time cannot be negative, so time starts at time 0 until it hits the ground. How long did it take to hit the ground? 8 seconds. And then our symbols always go like that. Okay, range, that's about your y's, and y's are about your height. So let's talk about our height. When the object is on the ground, what's its height? 0. And how high did this object get? The highest height it got was 16 feet. So our height, our range, is somewhere between 0 and 16. And the symbols always go like this. Okay, and then the last question wants to know, how high is the ball after 3 seconds? Well, is this height or is this time? This is time, and time are x's. So I'm going to look for a 3 in the x column. So let me look for a 3 in my x column. First, I have to show you my kitty. I don't know if I can get her under the camera. Oh, there she is. Hello, I'm doing math. Okay, she did not like that. She doesn't like math either, people. Okay, 3. I'm going to look for a 3 in the table. And here it is. 15 is the answer that goes with it. So it's going to be a height of 15 feet after 3 seconds. What do you think? Is this getting pretty easy peasy? Okay, so what I want you to do for me is number 5. Okay, so I want you to do it, take a picture of it, and post it to Canvas. So do it, and take a picture of it, and post to Canvas. And that's all for today, folks. Smiley face.